My name is Jennifer Robinson. I'm with Pinellas NAMI in Pinellas County, Florida. I'm on the board of directors for NAMI Pinellas, and I started, my mental illness started when I was 13. I began to think that I wished I was dead and I didn't want to live. And it was a severe depression that lasted for quite a few years, off and on. And I had anorexia and was in the hospital for the eating disorder too. But I got over the depression and the eating disorder with help from therapy and medication. And then in my 20s, when I was about to go to Smith College in Massachusetts on a scholarship, I started to hallucinate and became psychotic. I was 23, and I began to be manic and also to hear voices and have delusional thoughts and paranoid thoughts about people being after me and the CIA being after me, and thinking that the world was going to end and people were going to be sent to concentration camps in the United States. And so I ended up not able to work. I had no money. I became estranged from my family because of some of my accusations of things that supposedly people had done to me, which they never really did. And so I ended up in a homeless shelter. And that was the first time, and then in the following 7 years after that, I was in homeless shelters 3 more times. I lived in the back of my car for a few weeks at one point, and then the voices became so bad that I was, I attempted suicide several times. Once I went on the train to New York City, and there I attempted suicide in a hotel. I was following cues and messages telling me to go to New York, so that's why I went there. And I didn't know anyone in New York, and I thought that when I got there that they were putting people on trains to send them to concentration camps. So I got off of a train in New Jersey, and went to a hotel and took all the pills I had, and took a glass that was in the bathroom and broke it, and tried to cut the microchip out of my leg that I thought was there planted by the CIA. I was in hospitals about 20 times overall, and I was never told my diagnosis until 2005. Before that, I also attempted suicide by trying to drive a car over the top of the Skyway Bridge, which is 150 feet high, and I totaled the car, and I survived okay. And then at one point I was going to shoot myself. I had thought for a long time that I was Jesus, and that I was Anne Frank reincarnated, and that I was L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, reincarnated, because I lived in the Scientology city of Clearwater, where there's a lot of Scientologists. And I, at this one point, was hearing everyone tell me to kill myself everywhere I went, telling me to die. So I decided to take plans to end my life. I also thought that I was pregnant for 4 years when I wasn't, and that was part of my delusion. So I actually went on the internet and looked for the research on what would be the most effective way to commit suicide, and found that shooting yourself was usually the way you would die the most of the time. So I went and asked some people on a pro-suicide message board what kind of gun to buy and what kind of bullets, to make sure that the bullet didn't go through the wall to hit my next-door neighbor. So I bought a .357 Magnum and a certain kind of bullet that explodes when it impact in your body. And I took it to a shooting range and learned how to shoot it. And I almost pulled the trigger one night, but I didn't. And then the next day, I was going to go shoot myself. And my family had figured out somehow, through someone talking to them about me, that I had bought a gun, and then they called the police. About 8 police cars came and took me in handcuffs to the hospital. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. They kept me in the hospital for 6 months through a program called SRT, which is short-term rehabilitation in Florida. It was a great program. It saved my life. I was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and then I was told that my diagnosis was schizo-affective disorder after a while. And because of being in that hospital, I was on medication long enough to become stable, which was the first time I had ever been in a hospital long enough for that to work. And so I got out of the hospital, moved into a group home for 10 months, and then I got a job. I got an apartment through a mental health housing agency, and I went back to college in 2007. I graduated with honors with my associate in arts degree in 2010, and then I went on to the University of South Florida to get a bachelor's of arts in interdisciplinary social sciences, which is what I'm doing right now. I got involved with NAMI about 5 or 6 years ago. First went to the support group NAMI Connections and got a lot of support from that. And then I also became a CIT speaker, so I would go to crisis intervention team trainings and talk to police and tell my story. I do that now every year, twice a year. I also do a program we have in NAMI Pinellas called Breaking the Silence, where we talk to students in middle schools and high schools about mental illness and suicide and how to get help. And then I was on our consumer council when it was active for a few years. And now I'm on the board of directors for NAMI Pinellas. They've given me awards, and they've been a really supportive second family to me. And it's really made a huge difference in my life being involved with NAMI. I don't know where I would be today without them. So I really believe in NAMI and in the work that they do. And this is my first national NAMI convention, but it's really exciting to be here with everyone that cares about our cause and wants to educate people about mental illness.